Yeah. MD. JPB. It's only right, baby.
Yeah. Why you mad? I got a bad bro. Name hot in these streets, no Tabasco. But I'm so stuck, that's a fact, yo. And if you think I'm frontin', you can run it back, yo. Or run it back. You know that I run it. Everything you wanna do, I already done it. And I got your little boo telling me she love me. I got this one, that one. Damn, it's gonna be a long night.
Hello guys, what is up? It is your boy Prince of Otis back here with a new video, the second part of What If Deku had Whitebeard's powers. And thank you so much for the support on the last video. I don't know how you're gonna take this part, but it will be full of action because this is a reincarnation of Whitebeard thing. It's gotta be pure power and stuff, you know what I'm saying? And I just hope you guys will enjoy it, and I will try to put even more edits in this one before I do any exporting or anything. And honestly, the last part was hell to make because all of a sudden everything started going slow as hell. YouTube started like uploading the video slow as hell. It literally took an entire day. I'm just here like, what the fuck? This shit is easier on my phone. How can you suck that much on desktop? This thing is new, bro. I know for a fact that's not my fault. YouTube gotta stop doing this shit. Every PC that I use, these niggas be going slow as hell. Unless it's on my phone, they be slow as hell. So I don't know, they gotta fix that. I would have posted yesterday if it wasn't for that. I had everything ready, so it was kind of weird. But regardless, let's get into this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification button to stay up to date on all of my videos, and let's begin with a recap. We began with Deku as a strong-willed kid with two quirks, one that allowed him to dominate those weaker-willed than him and cancel out quirks, and one that allowed him to literally shake the world. Using this and his earned confidence from all his strengths, he beats Bakugo into a better person. He and Bakugo become best friends, and get stronger together as Deku turns into what you could only describe as overpowered. Years later, when they're 14, Deku heads home alone after walking with Bakugo and meets the Sludge villain, which he obliterates, and after this he runs off, and All Might finds the villain later and traps him. Months later, Deku then attends the UA exams, but is a recommended participant, and during the practical exam he destroys everything in his way, leaving people baffled. And after the exam, he's of course admitted to UA along with Bakugo, who got first place in his own exam. Their first day is quite hectic yet fun, and they are introduced to new classmates, and Deku makes quite a great impression with his laid-back, funny, yet obsessive personality. And the class goes outside and shows how well they move and act with their quirks, and they are instructed by Aizawa, their homeroom teacher, to, you know, show off a little bit, like show what they can do, obviously. And he, my bad, I got lost for a second. So Deku shows his immense strength like usual, and he just like, you know, bulldozes through everything. And when All Might shows up the next day, he instructs them. Deku and Tororoki go up against Momo and Tororoki. Tororoki attacks Deku but finds himself defeated and forced to use his flames by the will of Deku, but he still loses even after using his fire and ice, and Deku clashes with him and then beats him up and helps Uraraka, who ran off to fight Momo. But Uraraka fails to touch the rocket, and when Deku arrives, he does not fight Momo, instead declaring his team's loss, because if it's a team exercise, if Uraraka lost their fight, then they lose. That's personally how he wants it to go down, and he feels like it's unfair to fight Momo because he's obviously going to win. He finds that boring. All Might then declares them the losers and the villains the winners, and while Uraraka was saddened by this, Deku brings her spirits up and says that he will help her train. After this, the next day comes, and Aizawa returns and evaluates them for their trial before then saying they need a class president. Deku and Momo are chosen by Ida's idea of voting, even though he wanted to be president, but Deku declines and says Ida should be president. Momo then proposes they talk about this later, and they go to lunch, and an alarm goes off, making everyone panic, so Deku has to shut everyone up and show them something. There was nothing wrong to begin with. And he was mad because a bunch of his food was knocked over, but Bakugo promised to give him like some food later, like buy some. After this, Deku was told he had to be president, and he took the job but appointed Ida and Momo as his vice presidents. We begin this part with all of 1A on a bus to the USJ, but in the back would be a sleeping Deku while everyone talks. He started off so excited, and now he's sleeping like a baby, Kirishima says. Well, he did say he didn't want any responsibility, so he would say, and Kirishima says that's true, but says because he's so strong, he just felt like he kind of fit the bill. I wish I had something flashy like him, or Bakugo, or Tororoki. Mina, however, says, no, your quirk's really cool, you just gotta make it your own. And as the others would talk, Tororoki would be in deep thought. Do I even have a choice when facing someone like him? He'll make me use it every time. He looks to the sleeping Deku and begins to rethink on how he should go from now on, which is pretty hard since he still doesn't know how Deku's quirk fully works. Deku never gave him a real answer. Eventually, when they arrive at the USJ, Deku wakes up as he and everyone then enter the building, finding a humongous and wide area. Deku would look around using his observation hockey that allows him to see deep into the floodwreck area, the landslide area, the forest, and basically everything. "Damn, this place is awesome," Deku exclaimed. The voice of 13 would then be heard as she walks to the class via the stairs and says, "Thank you, designed it myself." Already, Uraraka starts to freak out over 13 as he is her idol, leaving for Deku to then look at her confused. 13's a woman, you know? This comes as a surprise to Uraraka and most of the class as they ask how he knew. I can see it. That's not really an explanation, Sato would say, as Bakugo then states that Deku can see through things by using observation hockey, what he calls observation hockey. "Oh, that's very useful," the hero would say. "Please do not use it for nefarious means." Deku then salutes, saying he never. "I can only see your aura and the shape of people through things. It's not really that accurate." "That quirk's the best thing ever," Minato would say, as Hagakure would then slap him over the head, telling him to stop being weird. Alright, Aizawa would say. "Let's start with the tour, shall we?" With this, 13 will then show everyone around, showing them what scenarios they will be put to in those areas, and once they're done with the tour, they return to the spot they began. Alright, like I said, this place was built to help you control your quirks, and as you know, my quirk is Black Hole. No matter what gets put into my vortex, it will be turned to dust. "Huh, I'm surprised you haven't killed anyone yet," Deku says. Everyone becomes quiet and tense as he then asks what's wrong. "It's not a big deal, guys. You do realize if all my fights without caring about anything, he could destroy tons of buildings, but basically kill a bunch of people, right? It's just about control." 13 would then say, "Correct. While you should aspire to be a hero, you must keep in mind how dangerous you can be when using your quirk. A hero is only a true hero when they realize how they themselves are simply human. Our quirks are not always perfect for certain things and may hurt people, but that's what all of this is for. You learn how dangerous your quirks can be when you fought each other in All Might's trial, and then you tested them in Aizawa's test, and you learn how much potential you yourself have. I want to teach you to wield your quirks for the sake of human life. That is all." As she roused, the impressed class would begin to clap. "Bravo! Bravo!" Ida would say, as Aizawa would then say that they will begin soon with their training. Take a moment, and as he says this, in the corner of his eye, he notices something and turns to see a portal form down below, and from it reaches out the hand of Shigaraki, who walks out. It's too bright." From behind, a horde of villains follow as they begin to enter the USJ, and instantly Aizawa tells everyone to get back, as he would then take out his goggles and wear them. "Those look like real villains," Kirishima says. "That's because they are," Deku would say, and this leaves everyone in disbelief, and now they felt scared as the malicious aura of Shigaraki would spread as fast as the horde of villains that run across the terrain. The portal then spawns a Nomu before the head of Kurogiri then shows itself from the portal. "All Might is not here, but he is. Should I bring in more Nomus? Why the hell would you need that many for one kid? We're enough." Kurogiri then says sure, but then notices something as some of their men then begin to fall. Shigaraki starts to notice this as well, just as all of a sudden, Kurogiri then loses his hazy form and falls over unresponsive. Shigaraki then falls as well, and he then sees some more of his men fall as they begin to foam at the mouth, and the Nomu then begins to roar before instinctively attacking Deku, who was running towards it. However, as it punches, an explosion from Bakugo would redirect it as he appears right in front of his friend. "Watch it." As he redirected away the Nomu, it is flash frozen into an iceberg in an instant from Tororoki, who then runs out, and Bakugo would land just as the Nomu would then break out of the ice, releasing a massive shockwave just with its roar of anger. "What the hell were you thinking, Midoriya?" Tororoki asked. "I didn't know you care about me that much." He then blitzes the Nomu as he grabs it by the face and squeezes it before then pulling him down. A tremor sphere would then form around his hand as he would then slam and crush the creature's head to the ground, causing a massive crater to form as cracks then begin to spread and begin to cause an earthquake. The quake rips through the ground and even air itself, sending out shockwaves as it almost reaches Shigaraki, who barely gets out of the way and ends up getting internally injured. He broke the world? What kind of power is that, he thought. The ground then splits until it reaches the water area and leaves it in a complete ruin as its waves crash into the valley made by Deku. From atop the stairs, everyone was left baffled, having seen what the effects of Deku are when he's truly trying to hurt someone. Deku then takes his hand off the now dead creature as its head is completely left dismembered and flattened. "Nothing but just pure power," Tororoki thought. "Don't get in our way, we're supposed to be having class," Deku would yell as he releases the spirit of the conqueror, but from trying to resist Deku's will, Shigaraki starts to scratch from all over from this absolute fear overtaking him, and his mind would begin to crack as he began screaming. As he does, Aizawa would then jump past the students, releasing his cloth and wrap up Shigaraki, who would then reel in before then kicking him in the stomach, causing him to choke as his pupils would then fade. The two would then land down as Aizawa takes his foot off the villain, and he would take off his goggles and proceed to look around. You are never doing anything like this again, Midoriya. Deku would then laugh as he scratches his head in embarrassment. Sorry, I was just really mad, you know, I'm supposed to be the class president, right? Hours later, heroes arrive with the police as they end up finding villains who had lost consciousness, and they were either in the forest area, the water area, or in the wrecks, and they were all affected by Deku's spirit to an immense degree, so they were easier to catch. While an investigation begins, one day is about to leave as Sniper and Midnight would open the door for them, and they find themselves being photographed and flashed by cameras. Hey, Izuku Midoriya, what was going through your mind when this happened today? We also heard those two helped you take down a dangerous villain, is that true? What the hell do you mean those two? Bakugo would yell, as Deku then says, get the hell out of our way. We didn't get to do anything today, don't piss me off. The baffled reporters then want to ask more, but they get out of the way because of the nature of Deku's quirk and they don't want to get knocked out. The class would then walk past them and feel nervous, and except of course our main trio, and Midnight would say, sorry I have to deal with this, kids. We're quite fine, Miss Midnight, Momo would say, we didn't exactly get to do much. Don't worry, next time I'll leave some for you guys, Deku would say, and Momo would think, yeah, that's not really the issue. As this incident occurs, of course the students get one day off so teachers can investigate what happened, and this also ends up being related to their cracked barrier, so this goes deeper than they originally thought. After the day passes, one day then returns to class with Aizawa saying, so, the sports festivals are coming up. The students, while surprised and excited by this, ask if it's a really good idea. What if the villains attack again? Mineta would ask. Can we just halt it for now? Let them come, Bakugo screamed. I'll blow them to smithereens. Besides, we need to do it. That's how heroes get to see us in action. Plus, we already won the fight. We don't have a reason to back down, says Deku. As he smirks, everyone then thinks that this better not jinx them, as Aizawa then says this is your chance to show what they're made of. This is something you cannot overlook, so grab this chance and show the world what you're made of. Yes, sensei, they would all say. After this declaration, the students then go to Modern Lit and are taught by Cementos, who soon then leaves the kids to have some free time before they go to lunch. I knew it was coming, but geez, we're really doing this. It's gonna be awesome, isn't it? Krishna would say. And Uraraka, now wearing a quite malicious demeanor and a scary tone, then agrees as she pumps her fist to the air. Hey guys, I'm gonna do my best. Wow, Chakra looks really serious, Mina would say. I said I'm gonna do my best, she yells, as her confused classmates would pose much like her and they begin to cheer on, but also ask why she seemed like a completely different character all of a sudden. Later on, as Deku and his group are heading to lunch, is when Eden then actually asks why Uraraka wants to be a hero and why she was so excited about the sports festival, and she says it's for money. Yeah, I know, it's pretty unhero-like, huh? Depends on what a hero means to you, but it's really not that big of a deal. This idiot's gonna be a hero because he thinks it's fun, Bakugo would say. He points to Deku, who pops a vein, saying to watch it, as Ida then says, wanting to be financially stable is not something shameless, but I am surprised at the motivation. Uraraka then actually says the true reason for this need of money is due to her parents, who work at a construction company, but they're not making enough despite their best efforts. If I can, I'll do everything I can to make sure that they have the easy lives that they deserve. Bakugo would smile at this, saying, you'll have to get past me first then. She would then nod and say she will do her best, and they go to lunch and just hang out before then returning to class and going to the normal classes until it comes to time to leave. Getting their backpacks and affairs in order, Deku would then leave as Bakugo follows behind, and they have noticed that there are eyes on them. Yep, something's about to start, Bakugo would say. And Deku then says it's already begun, telling him to look back, and as he does, he sees that their class was now plucked up by a crowd of students. Looks like they were waiting for me to leave. This is gonna be so much fun. Hell yeah, the two would say, as they would then fist bump and begin their training, and we'll have a little bit of a time skip. Taking 2 weeks off, they all work on their powers as much as they can, as Tororoki actually begins to train his fire side because he now had to and saw no other way to beat Deku. And Uraraka actually gets taught by Deku some hand-to-hand combat, not that everyone knows, but they will reveal it, Deku will reveal it himself during the festival. And overall, everyone just gets to improve a little bit. They don't want to fall behind. On the day of the festival, the other classes along with Wane are brought to a stadium and stay in their own waiting rooms. And while everyone is mentally preparing or just talking about how nervous they are, Deku will be sleeping, which everyone is just kind of used to, so they just like leave him be until they're called out, and instantly Deku will then wake up and run ahead of everyone. Too slow, he yelled. What are you, a kid? Sarah would say, and Deku then says they're all kids, before then entering the stadium, and the roar of the crowd rises to an insane degree, annoying other classes who had arrived. So that's him, right? Look at him. Look at them, thinking they're so much better than us. Deku would then bask in the glory as when his classmates come out, they were left intimidated a bit, and Deku would laugh. Haha, yeah, you guys are ready? And Momo would say, we already gotten this far, it's too late to turn back now. Alright then, let's go, he'd say. With these words, the class then marches to midnight at her podium and line up beside other classes, who are of course jealous, and President Mike would then speak from his booth. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you're going to love this festival the most because we have some exceptional students present. So are you ready? The resounding yes from the crowd would then indicate their enthusiasm as President Mike then allows for Midnight to speak, and she says, now before I begin, Katsuki Bakugo, come up here and give your speech. As he is called to, Bakugo would then walk up and pass the students, who recognize him as the #1 point getter with an overwhelming 130 points, but his full points were supposed to be 160 and he gave some to Uraraka. As he arrived on the stage, everyone gets quiet to hear what he will say, and Bakugo would say, I'm gonna be honest, aside from that idiot over there, he points to Deku, who everyone notices, saying, none of you are getting past me. You can be sure of that. The same goes for you too, Icy Hot. With this, he would enrage the students who ask him who the hell he thinks he is, but he would stay quiet and go back to his class, walking past all of them without a shred of care. Aren't you being a bit hard on yourself? Asked Deku. Oh, shut up. You just wasted all came at you. True, but since you made such a big declaration, I'm not holding back. I won't have it any other way, Bakugo would say. I heard he got recommended. No wonder he thinks he can look down on us, one of the students would be saying. Deku, however, ignores the words of these envying students, only smiling, and as the first challenge is picked, it will be the obstacle race. A gate would then open within the stadium, and a horde of students gather near it and keep a close eye on the light signals. When the bows all light up, they all charge, bumping into one another, but instantly Deku, who was at the back, would then leap over all of them with his legs enveloped in hockey, as Bakugo would then closely follow behind. Get back here! Deku would then say he's good, as he then jumped from side to side on the tunnel walls until he landed in front of everyone, before then blasting forward in a flash of black and red lightning. Good riddance, Deku would yell. And Midoriya has taken the lead, President Mike would say, but Katsuki is not letting up. Oh, what's this? As he says, Bakugo would then look back to see Tororoki had frozen everyone in the tunnel, having run out while gliding on a trail of ice that propelled him forward. He quickly catches up to Bakugo, but much to his surprise, Bakugo would then explode with even more speed as he would then spin around like a corkscrew, like a bullet in a corkscrew fashion to increase his momentum until he left Tororoki in the dust. Deku, meanwhile, had met an old friend. He would meet a 0-pointer. Oh, you again. Let's do something different this time. In a single leap, Deku would then fly towards the torso of the robot, pulling back his fist and filling with armament hockey. With the powerful strike, he not only damages, but sends the robot flying off the course as it would then internally explode, leaving its carcass on the side for everyone to see. Even President Mike is left stunned by this, despite having already seen it in the exams, and he says, I told you, ladies and gentlemen, this year's just different. As he proceeds to say what Deku did to everyone, those who had been freed from the ice came across the ruined 0-pointer as they were running up, which was no longer in their way, and they had no words, now realizing why Bakugo saw Deku as the biggest threat. He really punched that thing? Kendo thought. His classmates, however, are not phased and continue to run, but Deku and Bakugo and Tororoki are still top 3. By this point, they reached the fall, which Deku passed by jumping from pillar to pillar, and Bakugo was just now crossing it, which then goes to show how physically insane Deku is. Tororoki also passes it, but after he gets to land, he would then explode with both flames and ice, propelling himself forward as he then arrived a bit more behind Bakugo, and he was kind of catching up to him. And back at the stadium, a watching Endeavor would begin to cackle as his flames then rise until he starts laughing, catching the attention of everyone. Turns out Endeavor's a pretty overbearing father, huh, the heroes thought, as they had never seen him like this before. Meanwhile, despite reaching Bakugo, Tororoki realized, it's still not enough? I underestimated him. He might be a hothead, but he knows what he's doing, the kid thought. Hey, Icy Hot, wanna know why you can't catch up? Enlighten me. Because my will is stronger than yours, he says, as he then ups his speed and once more leaves the crowd impressed and Tororoki in the dust once again. Meanwhile, on Deku's side, he arrives at the mine area, but he can already see through everything with his observation, so he just chooses to jump over all of it in a single bound before then running forward and entering the stadium once again. First again, ha! As he arrives, he's unapplauded as the people are left mesmerized and just astonished, and that's the kind of strength only All Might can show, and they're wondering, like, just him later in the years, as the years progress, he's gonna be like OP, and the heroes want him as their sidekicks. Endeavor, seeing the spectacle, of course, refers to All Might, much like most people, and he thought they have to be connected somehow. That kind of power just can't be a coincidence. Who the hell just punches those things? It's like he's just disregards everything and uses pure power, right? And it still works, the people will be saying. Bakugo then arrives moments later as he lands while he skids across the grass, and he would finally breathe a sigh of relief at having reached the end. As he does is when Tororoki arrives, almost tumbling over as he deactivates his powers, and then he actually falls to his knees. I was right behind him, but he kept getting fast and just getting past me every time, Tororoki thought. Oh, you're finally back. You good? Deku would ask, and Tororoki almost feeling like he was being taunted would stand as he would stare down Deku. I'm perfect. This reaction puts a big smile on Deku's face as he laughs, saying that he likes this side of Tororoki much more. Later, when the students arrive, they all take a little break before then being told their next challenge, and it was the cavalry battle, which then gives Deku 10 million points and gives people other points based on their places in arrival. But despite that, everyone is kind of avoiding his gaze as to not show any hostility, since they have begun to fear Deku, and his quirk innately kind of picks up on things like that. And one in class will be kind of chuckling at it, like them being scared. Meanwhile, Deku pouts, being annoyed that no one wants to even fight him. Alright, make your teams of 3 or 4, Midnight would say. Just make a formation. The one with the headband must be on top, and if you get knocked off, you can get back on, so no worries. Just make sure that your headband does not get taken away. As she says this, instantly though, everyone's attitudes then change as they start to either swarm Deku, Bakugo, or Tororoki, wanting to be on their team. Hey, can I join you? My court's really convenient. Oh. Slowly, they all see Deku's demeanor change as he shows a look of annoyance. Yeah, he's really annoyed, they all think, as Deku then says, Hey Uraraka, let's join up. He leaves the crowd and runs to her, and she says sure, and leaves the others disappointed. You think we should ask Ida? Deku, however, shakes his head saying, nah, look. He points to Ida, who has joined Bakugo. He's finally grown out of his shell. I'm so proud. Uraraka would then burst out in laughter, saying he sounded like a dad. However, clearly Ida wasn't going to join them, and he wanted to do his own thing, which Deku respected as well as Uraraka. So he got other people. He got Mei Hatsume and then Tokoyami, and because he was allowed to, he let Uraraka be on top with his headband, since he's far too heavy to carry anyway. Many teams are then made, and then everyone gets ready for a signal, and as soon as it is given, Deku would then breathe in and then scream, Alright, all of you, come at me, let's do this. However, as soon as he does, quickly everyone starts fighting, leaving his team alone, and he has a look of bafflement. I believe they may have been too intimidated to engage, Midoriya, Tokoyami says. What? But I wanted to show off my babies, Mei would say, and Deku then becomes somber as he hangs his head, but Uraraka would then pat him on the back, saying it's okay. Just wait for the next event, okay? I can't really blame them though, she thought. It's too dangerous to fight him with all these people weighing me down. They don't know as much as I do about his fighting style, Bakugo thought. Todoroki meanwhile thought, I won't be able to face him head on anyway, and I'll have to count for everyone else. I guess you'll take this one, Midoriya. Everyone has left Ochako and her team alone. Not that I blame them, yells President Mike. Oh, come on, Deku would yell. The test then passes with Deku and everyone on his team having to do nothing, leaving Deku completely empty, as when they were told to take a break, he was being dragged by Bakugo to the canteen. Midoriya, it's really not a big deal, man, Sato would say. Well, it is to me, Deku would say. None of you guys even batted an eye at me. That's because we don't want to be flattened, they thought. I'll pay for pizza later. Again, Bakugo would say. Deku would then quickly get up, saying, oh, okay. That was way too quick, they all yelled, as they began to hound him, saying he was being too sad for no reason, and he apologized, saying he was just trying to have some fun. And as he laughed, the other classes then looked a bit envious because they just seemed to be having so much fun, especially because Deku radiates a certain positivity. As the heroes begin to clear the stage, they talked about those who piqued their interests and things like that, and aside from the top 3, of course, other classes and other students showed a lot of promise. The stadium was also cleared by spectators so they could go like get food and relax and stuff like that. And while Deku was at the canteen and was about to get some food, however, he feels a tap and turns to see Tororoki, who says to follow him. Being interested, he says sure, and they go to talk, and as they lean on the sides of the tunnel, Tororoki then begin to talk. I just wanted to let you know, this is not out of hate or anything, I just plan to beat you because I have to. And I assume you're gonna tell me why, Deku would say. Ever heard of quirk marriages? Well, it's essentially a way to make someone like you. Smart move, Deku would say. Based on the quirk theory, I feel like more people would be trying to create certain types of hybrids and... What? He sees Todoroki as a look of confusion as he says, you just sounded so not like you. Deku would then pop a vein saying, I ranked 4th on the written exam, you know. Todoroki is left baffled by this, asking who is 3rd, and Deku says it's Bakugo, leaving him even more shocked as a pissed Bakugo who has been listening this entire time almost wants to kick his ass. Anyway, Todoroki would say, He then goes out to explain his life a bit and talk about Endeavor and how much his life sucked. And when he's kind of done with the story, Deku looks quite somber as he remembers something that he doesn't want to, something he didn't want to remember, but instead he would smile. So, I'm like your own personal All Might. At times I wonder if you're related. You even smile a lot, just like him. I smile for a different reason, but even after using your fire, you're missing the point. I don't need to as long as I win, do I? I'll see you in the finals. As he walks away, Bakugo then finally walks out with his arms crossed. That guy's like a real-life tragic hero or something. I know, right? I knew Endeavor was kind of a dick, but seriously. So, did you remember it? Bakugo would ask, and Deku says, yep. How's my smile? Annoying as always, Bakugo would say. Come on, they're gonna take all the food. As the two walk off, we have a flashback to see Inko in a hospital, and on a hospital bed, she has a huge scar on her left side as the cries of a baby Deku are then heard throughout the Quake hospital. As the doctors watch over Inko, they look worried. It's insane how she managed to even survive. She's very strong-willed. He gave her a lot of internal damage. What should we do? As the nurse asks this to the doctor, the head doctor simply says to cover up what just happened. No child should have to deal with something like this. As he says these words, we then return to the present as Inko, Mitsuki, and Masaru watch their kids do their recreational activities and show off a little. Oh, do you guys still have that trip going on? Inko would ask, and Masaru then says, yeah, I don't know if Izuku can make it in time, but if you want, you guys can still join. Inko then says, now they definitely have to, and this is when they hear President Mike announce that a new event was on the way. Back at the stadium, Midnight would then spin her roulette, and as it lands on 1v1s, a smile creeps up on Deku's face, freaking out everyone as they did not want to end up fighting him. I couldn't think of a better way to end this, folks. Whatever happens now will depend on pure fighting skill and creativity. Let's get into it, President Mike would yell. Picking out lots, everyone would then be paired up against someone, which is shown on a giant monitor, and people would say, oh, he ended up with Midoriya, this is not going to end well. Shinzo is still paired up with Deku, but he does not waver. This isn't a matter of being afraid. He's definitely afraid, but is aware that letting that control him will simply make him lose faster. Ojiro still ends up quitting, along with Shota from 1B, due to having been under the control of Shinzo. And after Cemento sets the stage, Deku and Shinzo then step up as his corners would explode with flames, and the crowd gets himself hyped. On the left, we have Izuku Midoriya, a recommended student from Class 1A, President Mike would yell. You may have heard of him in the news lately. On the right side, we have Shinso Hitoshi from the Department of General Education. I honestly have not seen how he survived this long, but I guess we're about to find out. Begin. As soon as he says this, Deku would then get in a fighting stance as his eyes would shine red, and Shinso says, so, I heard you can cause earthquakes. I mean, you must have known if... Never mind, let's do this, Deku would say, as he explodes with the aura of the Conqueror, and Shinso becomes frozen as his aura then reaches even those in the stands who feel an overwhelming presence hit them. Damn, folks, you must be wondering what that is, huh? It's a special effect of Midoriya's first quirk. It's called Haki. Just as the name suggests, he can overpower the wills of those weaker-willed than him. As he says this, everyone then sees Shinso barely standing straight as he even starts to bleed from his nose. And they look worried for Shinso as the spectators then see him being completely overwhelmed, but yet he still stands, legitimately impressing Deku. And Shinso, however, realized that his quirk is actually ineffective against his enemy. If that's the case, then I'll just hang on for as long as I can. I am not losing that easily. Slowly, Deku then gets out of his stance and instead begins to walk towards Shinso, who slowly starts to get pushed back just from the sheer power of Deku's will, which then actually starts to even crack the ground, amazing the spectators, but they're more so impressed at how Shinso is even holding on. When Deku comes face to face with Shinso though, he slowly starts to sway, and Deku would say, you're real strong, you know. Thanks. Then let's raise a little bit, Deku would say, as his power then grows and causes a huge crack in the stage from where he stands, instantly knocking out Shinso, who then begins to fall, but he's caught. Nice. I think we just matched Bakugo's record, Deku would say. And Izuku Midoriya has won the match. Let's give a round of applause for Shinso though, huh? I don't know how about you guys, but damn, I couldn't even breathe. The spectators would then clap and give him a standing ovation while Deku then brings him to a stretcher and he's being taken away. You should try for the heroes department. Oh, right. He can't hear me. Sorry about the trouble, guys. The nurses and nurses, however, say it's okay, as they say that he will recover fast, and as they take him away, President Mike also yells and tells everyone what Shinso's quirk was. And while they would have been against him before, like in the original, before they even knew about his quirk, he earned the respect. So they all agree that he's very powerful and also just awesome. And heroes agree that a quirk like that can de-escalate situations and capture villains much easier. So with this match over, the other matches then begin. Tororoki beats Sero, Shiozaki beats Kaminari, Ida fights Mei while having her inventions on, so he does beat her, but Mei uses him to show off her babies, which kind of pissed him off. Mina then fights and beats Aoyama, and Kirishima and Tetsu end in a tie. And then it's Bakugo versus Uraraka. As they step into the ring, Uraraka will be very nervous. If you can't do it, then just drop out now, Bakugo stated. Uraraka with a nervous smile, however, says that she cannot afford to, just as President Light then says to begin, and she rushes him, doing something unexpected. She will throw a kick, which Bakugo dodges, of course, and Mina would say, "Wow, that was a pretty good move. Does Uraraka know how to fight?" Mina would ask, and Deku says, "Oh, I taught her a few things." Momo would say, "Really? Maybe I should have asked for some pointers as well." Well, she's still too weak to fight Bakugo. We didn't have that much time to train, but she can at least last a little bit longer than she would have, Deku would say. As Uraraka would attack Bakugo, trying to hurt him or turn him weightless, soon he would dodge her and grab her hand, as he would then blast her straight in the stomach, and she would be sent tumbling across the stage, shocking everyone. He really doesn't hold back, people would be saying. And Uraraka, however, gets up and keeps attacking, while Bakugo would just keep dodging, effortlessly evading, and it ends up pissing off a hero who would then stand. "I can't stand this anymore. Stop bullying her already. If you can blow her out of bounds, then just do it." As he gives 2 thumbs down, the other heroes then join in, as they think that this sucks, and they say, "Yeah, at this rate, you're gonna burn her up." Boo! Boo! Be quiet already. The voice of Aizawa then rings through the stage, shutting up these heroes, as he then says, "If you said that while in the right state of mind, as an adult, then there is no need for you to be here. As far as I'm concerned, you're a failure as a hero. What are you, teenagers? This is a fight between future heroes. Be mindful not to put down my students." This leaves the heroes embarrassed as they sit down silence, just as at this point, Uraraka then once again punches Bakugo, but then she released a string from, no, not a string, a sling. It's not like a sling for like a stone in it, it's just like a sort of thing for him to hit her with. And as she hits him across the face, this will catch him off guard. In that moment, she then taps her fingers as Bakugo would then fall over and see a hail of rubble coming down towards him, impressing the heroes, and they were too caught up in Bakugo's explosions to notice it. Not bad, but not enough. Holding one hand out, he then releases a powerful explosion which hits the rubble, causing a shockwave to send Uraraka flying and hit everyone with a gust of wind, and he has obliterated everything in his way. And Bakugo Katsuki wins. Ochako is out of bounds, folks. Uraraka would then think, in one blow? That easily? Bakugo then quickly gets back up, dusting himself off before then walking towards Uraraka and putting his hand out. "You weren't half bad." Uraraka would then grab his hand and would get up, thanking Bakugo for not holding back, and he says no problem, and that brings them to the end of their fight. While Bakugo goes back to the stands, though, Uraraka goes to the waiting room to receive a call, and the rematch between Kirishima and Tetsu then proceeds, and they do a tiebreaker doing a arm wrestling contest, which Kirishima wins in the most manly way ever. Then it came Deku versus Tororoki. Before that, though, Deku went to see Uraraka, and as he opens the door to the waiting room, he lets himself in and sees Uraraka crying. She notices him and quickly wipes away the tears. "Oh, hey Zuko, what's up?" Deku, instead of saying anything, however, simply puts a thumbs up with a big smile, which reminds Uraraka of when he first did it, when she and him were on a team to cheer her up, and she returns the sentiment and puts a thumbs up with a smile as well. "I'm not done yet." "Of course not," Deku would say, and with these words he then leaves, as Uraraka would then hold her phone tightly, almost hugging it. "I'll make you guys proud," she thought. Having already been announced to fight, Tororoki and Deku of course head to the stage, and after a while of walking through the tunnel, Deku ends up outside as he then is applauded of course and gets even more cheers, and he steps onto the stage just as Tororoki does, and the two stare each other down. Izuku Midoriya, Quirk, Tremor versus Tororoki. Quirk, half hot, half cold. Start, President Mike would yell. With these words, Deku would then punch the air, causing a crack to form and ripple out as the ground before him is then ripped up, sending Tororoki flying with a shockwave. He would barely stop himself with an ice ball, which then shatters, and he falls to the ground just near the edge. That was close. As scary as it is, I need to close in. Tororoki quickly gets him and runs as Deku punches again, causing another shockwave, and he has to jump and blast with fire while avoiding it, but Deku would simply punch the flames, canceling them out with his haki. "You're still not getting it. Let me show you," Deku would say as he holds his hands out, and they get covered by tremor spheres before he would then smash them into the ground, causing a massive explosion that blows away Tororoki, massively injuring him internally, and he would cough up blood, and this causes a massive quake that shakes up everything, as Cementos will have to make a giant wall to guard the participants from the incoming rubble. "Midoriya isn't going light on our young Tororoki. I honestly feel bad for anyone who has to deal with literal earthquakes," President Mike would say. Tororoki manages to not get out of bounds though by using an ice trail to ride up. Before then, he slaps his hands together, releasing a torrent of fire and ice that attacked Deku. only for him to punch and blow it away with a Quake and causing another rupture as the stage then completely explodes with cracks. Haha, that's more like it, Shoto. Endeavor would then tighten his grip as he watched, worried for his son, who, after landing, then prepared another attack, slamming his foot into the ground, causing a giant iceberg to be created, but it is shattered once again, as Deku would then appear right in front of him. Tororoki, however, releases a wave of fire at point blank, which Deku would then again punch through, stopping his punch right in front of Tororoki's face. "What the hell do you mean? I don't get it," Tororoki yells as he begins to fall, and Deku would then catch him by the collar. "Act like you own it, you idiot, because it's yours. It's not your mom's, not your dad's. It's your quirk. Yours." Deku's literal voice would cause gusts of wind to hit everyone, but it wasn't just that. Deku's words impacted them all immensely, even just from like the way he said it, and especially most of all, Tororoki was impacted as Deku then lets him go and jumps back. Back at home, an excited Mitsuki would then say, "Oh, it's so fun when he gets serious," and Masaru would say, "Should we really be getting excited seeing our children fight?" They'll be fine, Inko says. They lasted this long. Back at the stadium, Tororoki would then explode with fire and ice, but also shows a genuine smile for the first time. "You could have told me that sooner, you know." "Well, I can't do everything for you now, can I?" Explosions of red lightning that come from Deku, who would then step, cracking the ground behind him as he holds his hand back, forming a tremor sphere, which slowly starts to crack through the air, and Tororoki's elements begin to fuse, preparing for a final blow. Already, this gets everyone excited for the climax, but Cementos moves fast, as Midnight also moves fast, releasing her mist while ripping up her costume, and Cementos creates pillars, but in that instance, Deku would then drag the crack towards Tororoki and punch the air, causing an even bigger shockwave, while Tororoki would then release a gigantic explosion of ice and wind. As the two attacks clash, a huge explosion of rubble occurs as Cementos barely makes it in time and cracks would reach the stands, and after passing through the grass and even the ground, they reach the people who are in the stands, who slightly kind of shift in their seats because everything is kind of shaking. "Damn, I got goosebumps. Anyone else?" Kirishima would ask, and Jiro says, "I legit can't stop shaking." Slowly, the dust and smoke would then clear, however, to show Tororoki smashed into the walls of the stadium, while Deku stands in the now completely destroyed stage. It was completely leveled. Hell yeah, this is what a tournament should be like. As he continues to laugh, the baffled and impressed spectators clap, while Tororoki will be taken away on a stretcher. "Oh, Tororoki, those were some nice flames. Get used to it. I'll be using it more from now on." After this awesome fight, Bakugo then fights Kirishima and wins, Deku fights Ida and wins, and Bakugo then fights Tokuyami and wins. Another finals are Deku versus Bakugo. As they step into the stage, Bakugo now has some equipment around his arms, which interested the crowd, as Bakugo then fixes the equipment and he sees Deku stretching. "I came up with this one move for our next sparring match," Bakugo would say. "Oh, are you like secreting more sweat with that thing? Nice." Funny thing to know about these two boys, President would say, is you could say they're very close friends, so in a way, this is a very important fight. "Hey, are you allowed to just air out people's information like that?" Deku would yell. "It makes it more interesting, Lil Midoriya. Just go with it." And annoyed Deku would then say, "So, final or build-up?" "Final. There's no need to waste time with the back and forth, you know. I'm clearly better in hand-to-hand." "Yeah, right," Deku would say. President then yells, telling them to begin, and instantly Deku would hold his fist back, and then he would coat it with hockey, and once again explode with lightning. Meanwhile, while Bakugo was wearing, would then open up, allowing him to explode explosions out from his arms, and the people will be saying, like, "That's smart," and my lady says the same as well. "He can create nitroglycerin from his sweat, right?" And she says this to Death Arms, who then says, "Yeah." But even with all that, though, he'd probably lose. That Midoriya kid's just too stacked. The two boys then begin to speak in tandem. 3, 2, 1, go! They rush each other as Bakugo then gathers all of his sweat to his palms while closely holding them close, like super close. He closes his hands super close, and then this allows him to minimize the area of release, thus making his blast stronger and more dense. And as he fires his explosion, Deku simply punches with all his strength, and as they clash, the explosion is completely blown away by Deku's hockey, leaving a huge crack behind Bakugo. "How many times is it now?" Bakugo would ask. Deku would then put a thumbs up, saying that was Bakugo's 7th loss, and would begin to laugh, confusing everyone when Bakugo then yells that he's lost. "Oh, they were going for an end from the beginning," Ida would say, and Momo says at least the stadium won't explode again. The crowd, while disappointed, approved of how things ended since they all knew Deku was going to win anyway, and at least Bakugo showed them an awesome move, and back at home, Inko would jump out of her seat saying, "Yes, that's my son, that's my boy." As Deku wins, a ceremony is then put underway, and the top 3 are receiving their respective medals. "Congratulations for getting past your hurdle, young Shoto," and Tororoki would then nod, thanking him. "I felt like you were always holding back. I never thought I'd see you smile so wildly," All Might would say. "I was just trying to be like you, thinking maybe if I went easy and forced everything down, it would work out, but I have to get over my trauma if I want to get better. All Might would then hug and pat him on the back, wishing him good luck, and he would then give him his medal, of course, and then move on to Bakugo, and he gives him his medal. You should use that move more often, and that equipment. I'm gonna have to if I'm going to get someone like him. And he would then point to Deku as he says, hey, I'm still gonna surpass you though. That's a promise. I'm looking forward to it. He then comes to Deku and he gives him his medal as he says, you did great out there. What about your previous slump I saw you were in? Yeah, I think it's the first time I ever used that move, the one that I used on Tororoki. So I feel kind of pumped, you know? As he says this, All Might would then think, if it comes down to it, even I would want it. The tremor, that's something even one for all cannot combat, or all for one. Right? All Might, after thinking this, then turns and says that they did great. Great work, all of you. You've all come very far. As the crowd would then roar, the festival comes to an end and everyone gets a day off. As Bakugo and Deku's families go on a trip, they go on a camping trip together on their day off. And Tororoki goes to visit his mom, and unfortunately, Ida witnesses the downfall of his brother. We will end this part here. Welcome to the end of the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed the second part, and you're welcome. Of course, I did do much better on this one. You'll notice that I'm speaking a little bit slower, and I'm trying not to rush anything. And I'm really glad about how I did the festival. It was so good. It was so funny. Writing these lines for Deku is like the best shit for me. It's just like the best way for me to like get a laugh out of certain ridiculous situations that he can cause with his overwhelming strength, and I just love that. The next video that will be coming out is definitely the Utah one. I probably should have done that already. I'm still working on the script. Sorry for taking so long. This is supposed to be done so I can at least challenge someone else to do this and continue the challenge. I keep challenging others, so I'll get it done. If possible, I'll probably do an hour movie. Hopefully it doesn't take too long for me to upload that, and I really don't want to have to do too much with the subtitles because that shit is going to take long to edit myself. But thank you for watching. Stay safe. I still ain't got no school Monday, so I'll probably record again, or I might record later in the day, so that's good for me. Stay safe. Tell me down below how you're doing today, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh darling, if I had bought you flowers, would you still be here by my side? Yeah, I thought this moment could be ours, while I'm walking on you through the night. You can break my bones, break all the promises, but leave me alone. Don't break my heart. You should fucking stay with him.